Hello everybody. Welcome to week 8 and Tangle 22. Happy New Year. Though as you can see, I'm recording this on Christmas Eve. So today we're going to get through our automated tests, starting with the most important thing you can do with automated tests. And that has to do with putting semantically useful IDs in all of your elements. Let's start with our feature file. So when you see user clicks link with text, a better way to put that future-proofs things, because there could be another link with episodes, is to be very specific about the ID. Likewise, let's make it a little bit more general. How about that should work. All right, so let's put in our IDs. You can do ID equals nav episodes. So putting strong IDs like this on key elements prevents problems when you move stuff around or change text. The other ID I need to do is section header, and that is here. All right, let's give it a go. We're looking for nav episodes, F8, found it. Looking for a header with ID section header, found it. Text as episodes, match. User clicks link with text, find this, found it. Let's click it, see what happens. Wow, did very well. User clicks link with text next. I think the test is wrong. So we displayed the entry and then we have the next entry. It's because we're starting from the episode's home in the background section. So I need to redo this. All right, let's try it. This is another example where it's better to use an ID. So I'm going to use this. Also, this one is wrong. It should be. All right, let's go into the entry nav and then put in the IDs. Oh, it's already in here. All right, let's try it. Almost. Contents. Oh, because there is no list entries. Yeah. I don't think we really need it because the main episodes page has the list. But I do want to do the edge cases here. So if I click previous on the first thing and next on the last thing, it should show the section title. So all green. All right, let's check everything in. Let's do the sidebar quickly. It shouldn't be that hard. So for the API, we need to return recent entries. Okay, so I created something called a page request, which is pageable, and I can put that in here. And that goes from 0 to 10. Actually, let's make it 5. And it uses post stamp in a descending direction, so reverse chronological. Yeah, I should probably put a parameter here for that, but I'll do that when I need to. Let's try it out. That's it. Okay, now that we have the API, The sidebar should be pretty easy. It's basically the same as this entry list. Start by grabbing the entire use effect portion of entry list and copying it over to sidebar. Change the API. Now find and grab the list entry portion of the template and put it up here in the item template. And surround in a return expression. And do a little cleanup. I'm going to throw out most of the sidebar stuff. Now start replacing the sample text with the entry fields. Let's have a look. So I put some thumbnails in for my sample books, and as you can see, they're too tall. So I'm going to change from restricting width to restricting height. Better. Now let's have a look with real data. Get rid of the database and restart Spring. Close. Before making this look good, a brief but meaningful detour into something very confusing having to do with CORS. CORS, cross-origin resource sharing. So as you can see in my fetch calls, I'm calling without a host. And so what this means is it calls the actual host. In this case, it would be the Spring host, which is localhost 8080. Now, I want to make use of the Webpack live server, which uses the port of 3000, which is different than 8080, so that I can iterate changes really easily. So there's a trick to doing this with Spring and React working together. Put in, so this will allow me to run on port 3000 and call localhost 8080 for the API, which is separate. Let's do this for all of my fetch calls. Now you're probably thinking that I should be using constants here, and I will. But for now, this is the quick way to do it. Going from the React port to the Spring port is only half the battle, though. So if I were to run this, it starts up, but if I click episodes, it gives me this failed to fetch error. And that's because the internet is looking out for us. One of the significant security problems is cross-origin scripting. So let's take a look at the message. And you can see right here, it says, this has been blocked by CORS policy. We can disable this checking by enabling CORS in Spring. And to do that, I'm going to create another config class, which I'll call bfCORS config, and then go to the web and search for it. It's Spring CORS, Baldung. And if I scroll down, there's a way to do it globally, which is right here. Restrict it to just the API, and I'm going to put in the specific host that it's going to be coming from. Still not secure, but more secure. Let's rerun Spring and try it again. All right, now it works. As you can see, we're coming from 3000, which is really nice because not only can I click around here easily, but I can also do a refresh, which was causing problems before. And as you can see, I can actually just go in here and mess around. So let's say that I'll just put, I don't know, put something in front of the title, which is blah. And I go back here and it just pops in. So I can just keep going back and forth between here and there. To make this look good, I need to do some Tailwind work. Before I do, I'm going to put the Tailwind CSS docs on my bookmark bar. This is a really good place to keep referring back to as you do anything UX. So like if I wanted to learn more about positioning, or if I wanted a quick search for something like width, it'll give you all the values that you can put in. And so this is just a really good page to bookmark. I promise I'm going to do a full Tailwind treatment in a later episode when we're building something new, not adapting something older. So let's speed through this. As something special for the holidays, as a backing track, here's my wife conducting at her university's Vespers concert. Thank you for the indulgence. I tear up nearly every time I hear that piece from the beauty of the soprano solo. So, here our site looks a lot better. The responsiveness mostly works. There's a little bit of weirdness in the middle here, but I'll leave that for later. For now, I'm going to check in my code and close the ticket. Before I close out the sprint, I'm going to create one more ticket here. Don't do this, ever. Do as I say, not as I do. First, the About section. Okay, that's pretty good. A big reason I'm leaving these Tailwind time lapses intact here is I want you to see how useful it is to be able to switch back and forth between code and the browser. It lets you do things that you really can't do with a tool like Figma. You get to experiment with breakpoints and responsiveness, and there's enormous benefits to letting the code be the documentation of the design because there's a lot less back and forth. Here, this is looking pretty good. At least good enough for now. Looking at this, I don't want to make this the home page, but I will leave it in as an about. We'll just come to episodes as the home until I make a summary homepage. Okay. Now I don't want these guys here either, at least for the first version of the live website. So, and I'll remove the sign up. And then down below, most of this is bad. So let's go to footer. Should put YouTube though. One of the pains with these templates is you never know where they get these SVG icons from. So let's look for it. I'll just type in YouTube icon SVG and see what comes up. That's pretty good. Now to speed through my social links and put them in the footer. All work. All right, last the big YouTube button at the top. Good. Now remove the magnifying glass. Good. Now check the responsive nav. It's still broken. I'm going to make that a later episode. And for now, let's get rid of this special stuff. Down here, I'm just going to put a bunch of links to some of the tools we're using. Okay, I think we are ready to go live. This is not great, but we'll fix it later. First, three things though that I cut from the video that were too long and confusing. We want to add this line here to the CORS config class. This is because we don't want this to be turned on when we're in a live environment. The other thing is there was a bug that I fixed having to do with the way that these JSON files were being loaded into the database. And I'm not going to spend time explaining this. Last change we need is to take this out. Otherwise, we'll get the cross origin problem. I'll show you how to wire all this up smartly between local and prod later. And now we can do a BF deploy. So let's try it out. And it's working. One final step though. I want to go live with the real domains. Open up AWS. Go to Route 53. Go to bigfractal.com. You can see the IP address for Tanglebox here. Now I'm going to go and add an A record without a subdomain to the same IP. Same thing on my bigfractaltangle.com domain in my other AWS account. I'll do that on pause. All right, let's try them out. Incognito, HTTP colon, no S, bigfractal.com. That works. And that works. So we are live. See you next time.